Welcome to today's videocast. Do you remember last time how we talked about the Rosetta Stone and how it was a decree declaring the priest's support of Ptolemy V? Well, today I'd like to delve into a little more of the history of that time period and examine a relatively unknown artifact with a very interesting message. Now, as you remember, the Ptolemies were the rulers of ancient Egypt's final dynasty, and they were Greeks. This dynasty began with Ptolemy I, who established one of the first museums known, the Great Library of Alexandria, and ended with Cleopatra, who was the last ruler before the Romans took over. Again, the Ptolemies were Greek rulers in Egypt. Our subject, Ptolemy V, right? He ruled for 23 years, starting when he was 5 years old in 204 BC. His reign began after his parents were both murdered. The affairs amongst this family and the royal ministers is very bloody. These people were Byzantine before the Byzantines. For much of his reign, Egypt was plagued with native rebellions. In fact, secessionists in Upper Egypt established their own line of pharaohs, and for over 20 years, the rebellion persisted mainly under the pharaoh Ankhmakhis. This is not surprising, considering the Ptolemaic dynasty was centered in Alexandria on the coast, and while there were hundreds and thousands of Greeks in the north of Egypt, it's likely those numbers decreased significantly outside the capital. The Rosetta Stone is actually evidence that the priesthood supported Ptolemy V against the rebels, and they were rewarded for their loyalty. This uprising was crushed around 185 to 183 BC. Final peace terms were agreed upon between the last rebels and the king. Now, the king accepted the terms, but he broke faith and ended up killing the leaders of the resistance in a very cruel manner. That leads us to the item that we'll inspect today. While the Rosetta Stone was a very public declaration, this item reveals the very personal feelings that Ptolemy V held toward the rebels. As you can see, the vessel is decorated with hieroglyphs. This is significant because, as we know from the Rosetta Stone, demotic, which was widely used, was not employed in deference to the older hieroglyphic text, which was much more burdensome to apply. I love hieroglyphs. They're very beautiful. And so often, this medium expresses the deepest and most important feelings from that ancient era. I'll let you judge this piece for yourselves. Note the cartouche, which indicates royalty. Here it says, Ptolemy, ever living, beloved of Ptah. Very similar language to that of the Rosetta Stone. Here he declares all rebels, those mentioned earlier, as vessels of stools and waste, whose stench, honking, and vapors offend Anubis. Right. The god of mummification? The stench has got to be pretty strong to offend someone who works with corpses. To go further, he describes them as extrusions of brown cobra. Thus declares the Lord of Upper and Lower Egypt that all such vessels are dedicated to the rebels who will eat the contents thereof for all eternity. So there we have it, the royal chamber pot. Its external beauty belies the vindictive message and the base usage. A fascinating piece from the Ptolemaic dynasty, highlighting a shadier aspect of human nature that we still observe today. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.